Hello and welcome to AircraftGrade, the podcast all about commercial aviation. I'm your host Alex, and coming up this week, as aviation develops a new normal, I take a deep dive into the death of in-flight catering. British Airways is in hot water with the Ghanaian authorities. Boeing reveals the first 777X won't be delivered until late 2023. And as the relaunch of Flybe gets underway with an aircraft registration, I take a look at its history and its ultimate downfall. Before we take a deep dive into our main topics, let's first round up the key aviation stories from the last week, giving you my opinion along the way. Our first story this week is that EASA and the Civil Aviation Authority have followed Canada and the US and declared the 737 MAX safe to fly. Personally, I think this is fantastic news. The plane will be crucial for the industry's recovery due to its fuel efficiency, and I'm a firm believer it is now the safest aircraft flying due to the amount of tests and checks it has now gone through, even if these tests should have been done from the start. Now on to something very sad in my opinion. Lufthansa are removing 5 A380s from their fleet to put up into storage. There is something very sad that barely 10-year-old planes are already being retired. But I fully understand their decision. Large passenger aircraft won't be required for a very long time. In more positive news, as discussed briefly last week, Comac has revealed it is getting ready to deliver the first C919s. Now, like I said last week, I'm very excited about this. More competition for Boeing and Airbus is only a good thing for the industry. And finally, Joe Biden has made sweeping changes in the aviation industry and COVID in the US. He's required masks on all flights, and reports surfaced on Wednesday that he's considering making COVID testing mandatory on domestic flights. I truly believe if we want to get past the virus, these kind of measures are vital. As recently as 2017, every British Airways passenger would get a free meal in any class on a short-haul or long-haul flight. This was part of the flag carrier's mission to differentiate itself from the new threat of low-cost carriers. Throughout the years, though, BA's offering on board Eurotraveller, their European economy, began to fade in its last years. Plated dishes slowly turned into an all-day deli service, pre-bagged, ready to be handed out to passengers. And just before its demise, the offering had reduced further to just bagged snacks like biscuits, with the London Heathrow and Gatwick offerings being very inconsistent, with passengers often left disappointed. It wasn't a surprise then when British Airways decided to drop the complimentary food for a bar and board offering with partnership with British supermarket Marks & Spencer's. This change was an interesting one for BA, considering they'd always prided themselves on being a premium airline, yet recently their offerings have been very similar to that of their low-cost rivals EasyJet and Ryanair. BA also seem to be on their own, with Lufthansa, Air France and KLM all continuing to offer complimentary food options. However, this is changing. On Monday, Lufthansa revealed they had signed a deal with Dean and David to provide bar and board service on their short-haul network from the summer of 2021 and onwards. The food is priced from about £2 to £10, and some offerings include a salmon avocado bowl, crunchy chicken bowl and sweet chilli chicken sandwich. Lufthansa have also said that the packaging used on the produce will be made with environmentally friendly materials. They've also partnered with Munich-based Dalmayer, I don't know how to say that, and I'm sure I've butchered that pronunciation, who provide the hot beverages, confectionery and patisserie items for the airline. They've also said all passengers will still receive a bottle of water, with other beverages costing extra. Swiss and Austrian Airlines, other Lufthansa Group airlines, will also offer the same service from spring 2021 and onwards. British Airways themselves have also revamped their offerings, partnering with Michelin star chef Tom Kerridge. This extends their partnership with the Brit, who provided food for the airline's centenary menu in 2019. The new offering will be relatively inexpensive, at least for plain food, with all offerings costing between £4.10 and £4.50. An excellent deal in my opinion. Brewdog have also expanded their partnership with the British airline, once again producing a special IPA beer for BA called Jetstream. BA have also changed the way food is purchased. To solve the issue of limited food on flights causing people to become disappointed with the selection and prevent those at the back missing out, BA have introduced a buy before you fly service, which allows passengers to pre-purchase food up to 12 hours before their flight. This will not only guarantee customers their preferred choice of food, but also help the airline to reduce waste by preparing food that won't be purchased. Like Lufthansa, BA have also said they'll provide a free bottle of water and a small snack for all passengers, regardless of whether they purchase food or not. This is actually a better offering than that they provided before the COVID pandemic. So with the news of Lufthansa ditching free snacks, it now only leaves Air France and KLM as the main airlines providing free catering for short-haul flights in Europe. But the main question for me is why? Why are airlines ditching this, and is it bad for the industry? Well, let's find out. If you were to ask airlines why they no longer provide free meals, they'd probably say that it allows passengers more choice, and to be honest, there is probably some truth in this. If you had to pre-order meals, the airlines would only stock what people actually want, meaning you are guaranteed your first choice. Also, the food is probably higher quality because it isn't a one-size-fits-all kind of approach, where there's one option that fits as many people's tastes and dietary requirements as possible. This could frequently lead to something low quality, where people would prefer to purchase their own snack anyway. And I have to agree that I would much rather spend £4 to £5 on something I actually want than being given some food I really don't fancy. From what I gather as well, a buy on board or buy before you fly system is far less wasteful because food is only prepared if passengers actually want it. This reduces the amount of food that is thrown away. And for the latter solution, only food that is ordered is loaded on the plane, once again reducing the amount of food thrown away and wasted. But what about the reasons airlines won't tell you? Why do even legacy carriers like BA now charge for food? Well, I have a couple of theories. The first one is pretty obvious. Costs. Catering is expensive for airlines, and during a recovering industry, every airline is looking to cut costs as much as possible. Charging for food is a great way for airlines to cut costs. But for the last couple of years, airlines have had to cut costs for another reason, and overcome a different threat: the rise of low-cost carriers. Airlines like Ryanair and EasyJet have been pounding the air travel market for years now, offering extremely low fares. Now, I'm not going to go into too much detail about how low-cost carriers work, but I'll briefly mention the basics. Low-cost carriers frequently fly out of cheaper or low-traffic airports. For example, instead of choosing London Heathrow, EasyJet choose to fly out of Gatwick and Ryanair Stansted. Although this is more inconvenient for some passengers, it allows airlines to cut their costs significantly as parking, landing and jet bridge fees are so much cheaper. And about jet bridges, Ryanair don't even use them for most of their flights, which means that they can once again cut their costs and make tickets cheaper. Additionally, low-cost carriers charge for everything. Hold baggage, hand baggage and seat selection is an optional extra for passengers, and they're usually priced with a high markup. Food and snacks are very expensive and of course cost extra. Even exit row and bulkhead seats come with a hefty premium. These kind of airline models are dangerous for traditional carriers, as passengers are increasingly choosing airlines based on price, not comfort. But why am I telling you this? Well, this directly links to the reason why BA, Lufthansa, Swiss and many more airlines have killed in-flight catering on short-haul flights. They cannot afford to keep it because they need to respond to the new threat of low-cost carriers, and the only way they can stay competitive in the current market is to slash fares in exchange for passenger comfort. British Airways has had a long and fruitful relationship with the African continent. In fact, it first operated flights via the African continent in January 1927, when one of its predecessors, Imperial Airways, stopped off in Cairo on its route from London to Basra. Later on, in February 1931, Imperial Airways introduced a weekly service from England to Central Africa, landing in Mwanza in Tanzania. The route took 10 days, covering a total distance of 5,124 miles, and Imperial Airways extended their service to Cape Town in December. Since then, British Airways have collected 10 destinations in the continent, with Comair, one of their franchisees, operating domestic destinations to 9 airports in 5 different countries. Comair operate a fleet of Boeing 737-400s, 800s and a single 737 MAX aircraft for their BA routes, and is one of only 3 BA subsidiaries still operating today. The main airline operate all of their long-haul fleet to Africa, mainly leaving from their hub in Terminal 5 at London Heathrow. However, recently, BA have upset the Ghanaian authorities. Let's take a look. BA have always operated Accra flights from Heathrow, recently flying their A350s to the African destination. However, from the 28th of March, BA have said they're changing their Accra flights so they depart from Gatwick. This has upset the Ghanaian Ministry of Aviation, as they claim that BA are acting unfavourably to Ghanaian passengers. They even threatened to prevent BA from using Accra's Kotoka Airport. I can understand the government's worry. On average, a trip from London Heathrow to Covent Garden would take you 55 minutes and cost you £3.10 on London's transport network, whereas a trip from Gatwick would take just as long but cost £10.90 and require 2 line changes. Very inconvenient, especially for foreign tourists unfamiliar with the underground network. However, BA have their reasons. Only 18% of passengers on that route are business passengers, so a move to the more leisure-based Gatwick makes a lot of sense. BA commented, "We've served Ghana for more than 80 years and we're pleased to be continuing our long-running service to Accra from London. As part of our new investment, customers will now be able to experience our fully refreshed Boeing 777 fleet. This means their new business, premium and economy cabins will be on board. Personally, I agree with BA's decision, and find the Ghanaian authorities' fears unfounded, and anything that will help the industry recover quickly is a good idea in my opinion. Why pay Heathrow's expensive fees when consumers are mainly flying for leisure?" On Wednesday, Boeing revealed the delivery of their first 777X aircraft has been delayed once again to late 2023. The 777-9 is predicted to be delayed by over 3 years, with the first delivery initially planned for last year. Boeing initially delayed deliveries to 2022, but the program has once again been pushed back by another year. In fact, Emirates President Tim Clark doesn't think the airline will receive its first model until 2024, and they were supposed to be the launch customer. Boeing attribute the delays to updated assessment of certification requirements based on ongoing communication with the civil aviation authorities. They've also said that increase in corporation costs, adjustment in production rates, and program accounting quantity as the reason for the delay. Basically, all PR waffle. Although this could be seen as a negative for the airlines holding orders, I actually think some of them will be a bit relieved that they don't have to take these massive planes for a little bit longer. Many airlines have sent their long-haul fleets to long-term storage or even retirement, so I don't think they'd be too keen on taking delivery of any brand new large wide-bodies anytime soon. But as discussed in a previous episode, the industry is expected to recover by 2023, which coincides perfectly with the revised release date of the 777X. One final note is that the 777X is far cheaper for airlines to operate, with a 10% reduction in both fuel burn and operating costs. Reports also seem to suggest the aircraft can be turned around in only 30 minutes. Good for airlines, as the plane can be in the air as much as possible. In my eyes, this is a great decision by Boeing, even if it wasn't totally deliberate. If recovery forecasts stay the same, the plane will come into service during a really exciting time for the industry, when demand will be as high as 2019 levels, possibly even higher. "2020 saw the demise of multiple airlines. In my eyes, the biggest was that of the UK-based commuter airline Flybe. The domestic giant operated 210 routes across 15 airports in its prime, with its operating routes by themselves, as well as with the help of franchise partners Logan Air, Eton Airways, Stobart Air and Guernsey-based Blue Islands. Since its demise, ex-Flybe owners have been keen to relaunch the iconic brand, and last week it was reported that they had registered their first aircraft. The chosen plane is a Dash 8-400, previously operated by Tyrolean Airways and delivered in June 2000. The Dash 8 was the backbone of the British Airlines fleet, with them becoming the world's largest operator after it released 24 from Republic Airways in 2014. Flybe also placed a massive order with Bombardier in 2007 for 15 Q400 variants valued at £197 million, with options for a further 15. Before the airline's collapse, they operated a total of 54 Dash 8s. Flybe flew many lucrative routes and held a monopoly over many, so what caused them to fail? Let's take a look. Flybe was actually launched in 2002 with the rebranding of British European Airlines that had been renamed from Jersey European Airways, which had in itself been created following the merger of Intra Airways and Express Air Services. Basically, Flybe's history has not been a simple one. In February 2019, the airline was sold once again to Connect Airways, a consortium of Stobart Aviation and Virgin Atlantic, and the plan was to rebrand Stobart Air and Flybe as Virgin Connect, but this plan didn't come into fruition before the airline was put into administration. In my opinion, the main reason for Flybe's demise was when the airline was floated on the stock market in 2010. From the sale of shares, they received a large cash injection, and in July the same year, they placed an order for 35 Embraer ERJ-175 jet aircraft. This was a very bad idea in hindsight. Jets aren't as efficient as turboprops on short flights and hops, and what routes did Flybe mainly fly? You guessed it, short domestic flights. We can already see that this was never going to end well for the carrier. Also, in 2007, the UK raised air passenger duty to £13 per person for landing or taking off in the UK. As Flybe mainly flew routes from and to the UK, they had to pay £26 per passenger in APD, drastically raising their costs. This wasn't helped by the fare war they decided to have with Loganair in 2017, when the Scottish carrier wanted more control over flights to and from Scotland, causing massive losses on both sides. Flybe's demise can also be linked to the same reason food isn't free anymore: increased competition from low-cost carriers. Any profitable routes for Flybe were quickly swallowed up by the likes of EasyJet and Ryanair in larger aircraft, allowing them to charge lower fares. This left Flybe with a lot of routes that were essential to small communities, but weren't very profitable. So with Flybe planning to come back, are they actually needed? Well, I asked this question because after their closure, many UK-based airlines took over their old routes. Loganair took over 16 routes formerly flown by Flybe, adding nearly 400 new flights each week, and opened a recruitment service last year for former Flybe employees. Guernsey-based Blue Islands added extra Guernsey-Southampton routes. Eastern Airways took over 3 Flybe routes. Finally, Orangey Air Services announced routes from Birmingham and Exeter to Guernsey following the collapse of Flybe. Now it's time to cover the most important airplane deliveries over the last week. Air Burkina has reportedly ordered 10 new aircraft after a cash injection of $450 million. They report they have ordered 4 A220-300s, 3 Embraer ERJ-45s and 3 Cessna Grand Caravans. Canada's low-cost carrier Flair Airlines has ordered 13 new Boeing 737 MAX 8s, bolstering their fleet to 16 aircraft. In terms of deliveries, Uganda Airlines is expected to take delivery of its second A330-800neo. This will increase their fleet to 6 aircraft. Another A330neo, this time the larger -900, has also been delivered to Lion Air. Nigeria's Air Peace has taken delivery of its first Embraer E195-E2 with a groundbreaking new cabin, and SkyWest Airlines has also taken delivery of some regional jets, 7 Bombardier CRJ-200s. JetSmart has taken delivery of a new A320neo featuring a unique duck livery, with China Eastern and Air China also receiving one each. American, Delta and Viet Travel have also received some A321s, with American's example being a neo variant. That's all we've got time for today. Thank you for listening to the AircraftGrade podcast. If you did enjoy it, please leave a rating on Apple Podcast or your favourite podcast player. And if you do have any feedback, you can tweet us at AircraftGrade or DM us on Instagram. aircraftgrade.co.uk, our website is now live, so make sure to check that out. I've been Alex, goodbye.